Welcome to the Creatio No-Code Playbook podcast, where we discuss insights, tips, and success stories on how to leverage no-code approach and transform business to deliver applications of any complexity using the power of no-code. I'm your host, Jason Miller, and today I am extremely happy and excited to be joined by the one and only Carsten Krause. He is the CEO of CDO Times, and he's a former vice president of digital at Breville and several other roles, including chief information officer roles and overall just amazing evangelist for the world of digital technology. Carsten, welcome today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Now you're dialing in today from Boston, Massachusetts, headquarters of Creatio. How's the weather and how have things been kind of in the world of Boston?
It's pretty good. We had, I think, a rainy summer. Actually north of Boston. I'm in Windham, New Hampshire, but close enough. So, it's all in all pretty good.
Now, there's a lot of tech companies that are headquartered in that general area, right? And Creatio is just one of them. How is everybody thinking about kind of the economy and the impact on technology companies and even from customers that are thinking about implementing new technology solutions?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the organization. Obviously there has been a little bit of a slowdown in some areas, whereas, I see a lot of, investment and explorations happening with, some of the new technologies leveraging artificial intelligence and composable business, right? And that's more important than ever. And, I actually, talked at a, large CIO convention before, talking about how can you leverage technology to come out strong after a potential downturn, because, even if you have a downturn, those downturns are short term and the growth period afterwards are long, and companies that invest like Apple did in, their iPhones, and AWS invested in, their cloud infrastructure, and they all came really strong out of a time where the economy was slowing down. So I think leaders that experience that, that understand that, take advantage of this, and maybe also pick up some very experienced people that are available right now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we're seeing in the market too. And I think in a lot of aspects, I think everybody realizes it's a challenging economy because a lot of the indicators would say, we're in a slowdown, but yet in the market in a lot of aspects is still extremely high, right? Or extremely hot. So you said, picking up great talent and investing into the downturn. And I do feel like that is what a lot of companies are doing. That's why the job market stays so hot. So let's think about how technology and this lack of available resources plays together, right? So we do know that, especially from a professional development standpoint, there is not enough professional developers in the world today. This is why no-code technology has such a growing place in the market, right? It not only allows you to expand that application developer base by reaching into citizen development, but it also expands an organization's ability to accelerate and really advance their investments into this downturn that a lot of companies are feeling. So talk to me about your perspective on this, because I know you've seen it from both sides, right? Both everybody's investing in SaaS and cloud technology and really focused on custom development in that area. And now I feel like it's turning. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think, with some of the things that, even we talked about this earlier before, no-code platforms and, other technologies, where it's easier and easier for non-technologists to be proficient. That also includes, the whole generative AI capabilities. And I think you guys are adding some of that to your platform too. But, I think that's really the democratization of, having people that can work together with developers, and developers themselves being more efficient, and then, leveraging automation opportunities. So, I think, and that as a whole also enables, to look at, things from a business perspective. You get the the expertise of business users that maybe some developers not necessarily have. At least I always try to have a team that has a combination of, subject matter experts and deep technology experts. But I think now it's almost a dream come true where you can really bring these teams together in, communities of practice and tribes and other ways to bring people together across organizations.
Now, you talk about, developing of communities of practice or a center of excellence, and this is a lot of, I think, what organizations are starting to do. It there for a long time, right? Large digital platforms, a lot of these SaaS technologies, you'd start to see a lot of the outsourcing companies develop these horizontal practices to be able to go in and solve for this technology. The problem is they didn't necessarily have the vertical domain knowledge, right? So a lot of these, especially in the outsourcers, they were trying to tie the vertical domain knowledge together with the horizontal practices and put together a COP or a COE within a technology for a vertical. Now, that's great, but again, you start running into this major problem of resource constraints. So what we're seeing a lot, and get your opinion on this in a minute, is the fact that not only are organizations looking to bring some of that back in-house, right, because there is a shortage and they need to make sure that they're protected, but they're also seeing that through things like no-code technology, it's easier to do, right? It's easier. It's easier to train folks. It's easier to get adoption of platforms, and it's easier to ultimately get through that first, I'll call it, storming and forming stage, and move into more of a norming and an acceleration phase. What's your take? What are you seeing from customers that you're talking to?
Yeah, well, I've been in this for a little bit. While looking at the newest technologies, I also understand that it comes in waves where you go insourcing, outsourcing. It's an ongoing debate and life cycles. But I think in the end, it's important to understand what's the competitive advantage and where do you want to put your eggs in the basket, right? And one of the things that I'm seeing is that companies are building out these centers of excellence and seeing, how can I leverage partners? How can I leverage, and do I have the right technology stack in-house? And then how can I support our employees and partners to be more efficient and working together and make it fun to work together, right? And so, I think for coders, going very deep in code and that's fun, right? But for other people, and I maybe count myself, is that I don't want to go as deep, but I do enjoy enabling innovation fast with my teams and connecting business teams and technology teams.
Yeah, and it's absolutely right, and I think that's where a COP or a COE is really an advantageous place to go, right? Because you're kind of accomplishing all those things, right? You're getting the most and the best out of all of the people that are engaged in that COP or COE, and you're also making sure that you're maintaining those differentiators and those key resources and key capabilities in-house so that you don't have to worry about some of the external challenges, never mind the operational costs. Typically about the same, you have a 10-person COP, right? That'll do the work of a 15, 20 person outsourcing in a lot of aspects. So that's good insights. I'd like to shift. We're about halfway through our conversation here today, and I'd like to shift just a little bit. And I want to talk about why organizations should be thinking that now is the right time to invest in their digital strategy, and what pieces of that digital strategy are probably going to help move the needle the most, especially as we know that we're probably investing into the downturn, right? And we're investing to position ourselves coming out. So from the different organizations and customers that you talk to, what are the key areas that companies are thinking about right now as key strategic areas for digital that they need to be thinking about, and what impacts are they hoping to have so that as we come out of this downturn, they're best positioned to achieve them?
Right. I mean, just to get started, a digital strategy and initiative, it's an ongoing thing. It's not a once and done thing. Like you always innovate. You have to always keep on reinventing the wheel and, learn. And, especially nowadays where the acceleration of innovation is so fast, even those technologies have sometimes our head is spinning right now with all innovation that are coming our way. But I think, there's certain key technologies that it's not really a change, but it's a foundation for your innovation. So you want to look at the processes that you can digitize, and what's your starting with your business vision. How can technology enhance the capabilities that you're striving to achieve? And in many cases, you want to deliver a great customer experience or partner experiences. And then, data, your data strategy overall, it's very important. Data is the new oil. Where actually, when I wrote an article recently where, if you want to use AI, data is kind of crude oil, and you have to refine it to really get the data insights so you can have the fuel for leveraging AI and innovation, right? And then, when I talk to some other business leaders, it's also about integrations, right? I don't want something that's just vendor specific. One solution can do it, but it really needs to enable, like, this needs to work across my whole processes across the organization, and that's where it can be helpful to do a journey mapping exercise, both for your customers with your solutions and products, but also internally. What are some key processes that set you apart, and that's your secret sauce. And, you need to analyze that and see, like, how can I tweak that? And then, it's nothing new here, but you look at some quick wins, and then also your strategic roadmap, looking at the long-term vision, and kind of backwards engineering of where do you want to go and what are the steps that I need to take along the way.
So you mentioned a couple of key comments. I want to drill in a little bit further there. I think those are all the things that we're hearing as well from potential customers and existing customers here at Creatio. But if you think about the need to constantly iterate and improve, and if you think about the need to move fast and drive and build those differentiators in a quick and robust way, I think no-code technology is uniquely positioned to do that because it's faster to start, faster to finish. It's easy to modify user experience. You mentioned whether it's UX for customers, employees, partners, right? All of those things are important. When we think about the value benefits of no code and the no code approach to delivering these things, would you agree that because of all of the things of speed and flexibility and being able to tap into additional developers, is this really a direction that you see no code starting to lead the way in this area, or is this something that's still going to be a laggard?
Yeah, I think no code is part of the picture. I think overall organizations are also going through a transformation. If you're born digital, you're a startup. You're very much agile along the way. And then if you're more a traditional organization, there's different speeds of innovation and different models that work best for different teams. So you need to find the capabilities, but all in all, I was experiencing that, when I led the e-commerce rollout for websites for Breville, we were really looking at, how can we compose things that's, based on business functions and business value and customer value. And then looking at, how can I iterate fast? Working with the business teams, working with the user experience experts, and then the development team in the back end, or maybe the no-code team in the back end. And then, looking at, okay, let's look at this. Let's try this out, do A and B testing, bring it to production in a micro front end, leveraging microservices. I think that's something that is relevant, more and more relevant for companies, especially if you are in an uncertain business environment. You want to be able to pivot fast.
Yeah, and in a lot of aspects, I guess it's a little bit vertical specific, but in a lot of aspects, you need to have that flexibility and agility to be able to move fast. And I know a lot of the banking and financial services world right now, it's going through this whole transformation of banks are either getting acquired or they're the ones that are doing the acquiring. There's very little stagnation in this space, and being able to quickly merge data, merge systems, drive consolidation, and ultimately business process execution is a huge concern for a lot of those folks over there. All right, so we've got one more topic left that I really would like to cover today, and it really focuses on this idea that you touched about just a minute, which is around machine learning and artificial intelligence and Gen AI. Where do you really see the world now, in a year, and in 5 years when it comes to using generative AI and machine learning in our day-to-day business processes? Where are we now and where are we going?
Yeah, I think that's something that I write a lot at CDO Times, and I talk to companies and help them, develop a artificial intelligence framework. But really, what it's about is you got to pick a scenario that's kind of contained. Many companies are like to establish their own private large language model, for example. And in order to do that, there's a lot of prerequisites, like, your data strategy, your integration strategy. So those are some things to have in place, right? And then you can also work with partners. But I think in the short term, there's some obvious use cases, like, co-pilots, helping, service and support technicians to get instructions and help on how to service customers better. And then, you have marketing materials and writing content for, your organization, even like auto-generating product descriptions. I think I saw that there's a Google experiment that was going on where you can automatically animate the web pages. So there's a lot of interesting thoughts out there. And then, so those are the kind of the short-term things. And then as people are progressing, you're probably looking at, is there a product, is there a service, servitization of my solutions? I worked in the supply chain industry, and I worked in retail and consumer products where you might have IoT connected devices, and there's a lot of data that can add additional value, can do predictive shipping, predictive maintenance, optimizing your supply chain. So those are kind of the next things that I think that companies are going to go for. And then who knows, like in 10 years from now, we might have some very intelligent computers. And while that's in place, we need to also figure out the regulatory framework, companies working with your governments, and coming up with some guardrails that make sense, because it's all want to make sure that we're using artificial intelligence for good, right?
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal, and I definitely agree wholeheartedly with kind of where these things are at now, right? So most of the major CRM players out there are now looking at how to use Gen AI to do those, like the co-pilot ideas, right? And they're using advanced machine learning for next best step, next best action, guided selling, those types of things. And Creatio is obviously helping lead the way because it goes faster, right, with no code. But that's, I think, a very big piece of where technology is going. So I think if you look at MLAI and a digital no-code strategy, these things really go hand in hand. So Carsten, if just quickly, let's talk about CDO Times just for a moment. So you are an organization that helps evangelize and spread the word about digital transformation. If you can, just in 10, 15 seconds here, how can people engage with CDO Times to become a part of your community?
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways. So one way is obviously come and check out cdotimes.com. We have, a membership where you can get insights in your inbox. We're going to be adding training classes, and we're also building out local communities across the United States, including, hosting events where we can come together and discuss really peer-to-peer CIOs, CDOs, CTOs, and other CXOs, talking about how can you leverage technology in this day and age and win with it.
It's amazing. So I do encourage everybody to go check that out at cdotimes.com. Carsten, I want to thank you so very much, and thank you to everybody for joining in today. Obviously, there's a lot of hype about no code and application development, but I think that the benefits are real and they're tangible. So, Carsten, thank you for joining us today and talking about this idea of how no code and digital transformation really should be part of what everyone in the organization and in the world right now should be embracing. Now, it's been a pleasure to have you on our show. For those of you who are watching us online, and hopefully you've liked this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more. And for those of you who are listening to us, I hope you've had a great time. Check out our previous episodes on the various platforms for the No-Code Playbook podcast. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and many more. To get more information about our products and services, please make sure you check out our website at www.creatio.com. For more insights, make sure you check out this page. Carsten, again, thank you so very much for your time today. This has been insightful. For everybody listening today, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again next time.